Hello and welcome to Shay Zasaa and A Zasaa Zooms In. And I know I say it every time that, oh my gosh, I'm so excited, but I'm really so excited. So I have super special guest with me today, and his name is Nohn. Nohn and Riyike and Ene, who you've met before. I'm not sure Ene is ever coming back again, but she's here for now. And Nohn and Riyike are here. So we're going to have a conversation about raising men, because between us we have 6 boys between us. And I firmly believe that we shouldn't be raising boys. We're raising men who are going to be responsible men to society. And I actually feel one step further that we should be raising men that are an asset, men that are maybe raised differently from our men. We have one man here, so he might tell us otherwise. But I feel like as women, well, not women, as mothers and as fathers, as parents, we have a responsibility to raise good men, just good men. You know, you always hear about good women. What about the good men? So I'm going to throw it at you guys since you have, okay, let's even start with the ages of our boys. Ene, how old are your men?
29 and 25.
So she already has men. How old are yours?
23 and 20.
Men as well. And mine are 22 and 15. So almost, yeah. Okay, so do you think... Okay, let me even start with you, Nohn.
Okay.
Since you're the only man here. You heard what I said about raising good men. I have a pet peeve where I feel that in our culture, and correct me if you disagree with me, I mean... I know I'm not wrong, but if you disagree with me, please pipe up. But I feel that in our culture, we're very good at raising women to be good women. You know, it's almost like the woman must be good. And good is inverted. You're laughing already. Good in inverted commas. But, you know, we know how to raise women to do all the right things, to say the right things, to be good in inverted commas. I don't know that we put that emphasis on our boys. I really don't know that we do. So, Nohn, were you raised to be a good man? Or should I be asking Riyike that question? Not and Riyike, our husband and wife. Should I be asking Riyike that question? Because I feel, well, okay, let me ask you. What do you think?
I think part of it has to do with where those boys or men were raised.
Where, as in the country?
Country.
Okay.
And I think when we now narrow it up to Nigeria, for example, it depends on which part of Nigeria they were raised.
None has come to bring complication.
No, because
okay, continue.
No, because in the north, for example, men are raised differently because they're raised to think that they're kings and the women are of no importance whatsoever.
Okay.
Now, in the south, it's different because there's a bit more equality, right? Because there's no difference between a man and a woman down south. So that's why I said a person brought up in the north or a man raised in the north will have that air around him that female is subservient, second to me. But then when that same person comes down south, now realizes that, who is she? And then there becomes a conflict initially, right? And that's one aspect of raising men that's a bit different.
You see, it's so interesting you say that, because I've said this on this program before, that I feel that Yoruba men, I think in the Yoruba culture, we raise our men to be kings and our girls to be wives. And so the man is there expecting everything, and the girl knows how to give everything. I don't feel that I know any Yoruba girl, which I said, actually, I think it was the last one I did. I don't think I know any Yoruba girl that has not been raised to be a good wife. She may choose not to be, but she has all the skills to be, because that's how we raise them. And so it's interesting that you say, because I think what you're saying is completely valid, but I've never looked at it from that north-south thing.
Because there's also an addition to what you're saying. You see, when you talk of the Yoruba girl is raised to be a beautiful, good wife, right? The northern girl is ready to have at the back of her mind that she could be 1, 2, or 3, or 4. So she already has that. She may never be, right? But she is not surprised if she is number 2 or number 3, and there's no animosity externally.
Okay.
Let me use the word externally. Yes, right? So that's the difference. So the northern man or boy is being raised to say, look, at some point, this is, again, slightly religion-based, will be that you might be able to, if you can afford it and you can love them equally, do X, Y, Z. Why In the South, oh boy.
That ain't gonna happen. Okay, let's hear from Riyike and Ene. Who wants to go first? Riyike, I'm going to pick on you.
Remind me what the question was again.
No, so I was saying just about raising boys, because I was saying initially it wasn't even a question really, more so about just the whole thing of good men, and I was picking on Nohn to say, are you a good man?
I think for in my own experience, I find that it is true that a lot of families tend to raise good women or marriageable, or I remember my mom always saying things like, is that how you're going to do it when you get married? You need to do it like this, and this is how you do it when you get married. I don't remember her ever saying anything to my brothers, and I have two, about anything like that. However, she did teach them skills that she said was skills that they needed to live, and also to be helpful to whoever it is that they got married to. So my brothers can cook. My brothers can clean. They can make a bed. My brothers are very domesticated. Let me put it that way.
So can I ask, do you think that was unique to your mom, or do you think that all of
No, I think it was unique to me.
Yeah, I was going to say, because I think the only people, I know a few people who have done that, but they've only had boys. So they didn't have a girl to train. Yeah,
yes.
So I think it's unique. Okay, sorry.
I think for my mom, I don't know, I guess she just figured, somehow you need to take care of your sister. You need to take care of your brother. So you need to be able to have some skills to take care of someone. So I think there was that. Like I said, it was never... I'm raising you to be a good husband. It was more, I'm raising you to be a good person.
So that you can look after yourself.
Exactly.
So you will not starve.
Exactly. You won't die if I'm not here. I guess that was really what she was doing.
Yeah.
But it has paid off. My brothers are quite domesticated, and they can survive and they can help out. It wasn't the norm, I wouldn't say.
Yeah.
I know quite a number of men who could not do nothing. They couldn't even boil water to save their lives. So I know a lot of people we grew up with like that. But yeah, for me, I think it's unfortunate, and that was something that, because I learned that from my mom, I would always say to my boys that I will not raise boys that their wives are going to curse me. So.
Can we just have a high five?
So I always say, you guys will have to do this. It's not because, and I have a very militant daughter, so she will be like, well, why should I be the one doing this, and blah blah blah. So we've kind of gone through that.
Ene.
So I don't have a daughter, so I can't compare how I raise my boys versus a girl. For me, I look at it differently. I think that my boys... I'm going to say, when my boys were younger, I was very much responsible for raising them. And I thought that was... I would say it on air, I was a little bit resentful, because I thought that I was giving 150%, and my husband was giving 50%. And then the boys grew. And I've watched over the years how it's literally flipped.
Okay.
And my husband is now 150%, and I give 50.
Okay.
What's my point? They're different seasons. They're different things that we pick up, that we adopt, that we drop, according to where we are in our life. I just wanted to put that out there, because now that they're in their 20s, Henry's in charge of them. When I say in charge, they call him. If they need anything, his dad they're going to call. When they were 7, they would only call mom. So.
You see, it's interesting, because I can't remember who I had on here, and we were having the conversation, and I was saying, do you think that women can... Because I always have this thing that when a woman is complaining about a man, I'm like, remember, women raise men. But... And I know what I mean by that. The early stages, women raise men. So I'm almost like, if you are complaining, then what are you putting into your own sons? So I've always sort of told my friends that we are responsible for changing the narrative in the way we raise our sons. However, the gentleman, actually, I remember who it was Felix, was saying to me, but women can't raise men. A man has to raise a man. So she can teach them like normal values and everything, but in terms of teaching them how to be a man, it has to be a man that does that, which I think makes sense, and that seems to be what you're even saying about the switch with you and Henry. So the question I was going to ask you, you've answered it already. You're smiling at me like I'm a bit nervous. No, what's going on? The question I was going to ask was, so were you deliberate in the way you raised your boys? So you've already answered it because of that. Because I was like, there's no way. I always say this. When they say, oh, I know they say he who finds a wife finds a good thing. But I would like that the wife that my boys find also feel like they've got a good thing. You know what I mean? I don't want it just to be that, oh, they got a good wife and then there's a rotten. I want my boys to be an asset. I want them to be, you know what I mean? As in, something that's not just looking good or that to bring something to the table. Now, interestingly enough, you spoke a lot about the domestic, which I think is really a lot of what is lacking. But do you think that there's anything else in raising a man that, I think this is key, the domestic bit is very key. But other than that, because I think, there are other qualities that we need to bring. I'm coming to you, Nohn. You can see I'm looking at you. What qualities do you think that we need to be raising in our men, or that you have specifically put into your boys? That, not domestic ones. Those ones I agree with, but other than domestic ones.
Well, before I can, so for me, I always tell my children, I think I've had this conversation with a couple of people, and I said, I remember when I was growing up, and it would be, you need to learn how to sweep, you need to do this, do that, do the other thing. I said, but now, the world has changed to the point where all these things, someone can do it for you.
Yeah.
No, but you don't need to do these things. I said, children now, you can say, oh, I want to teach you how to cook, but they don't need to learn how to cook. I said the food, I don't know if you have it, like good food. We have something called good food, for example, packaged. It comes in all diced up, all chopped up, all whatever. You can put it together. There's a video that will help you. Yeah. You go on YouTube, you want to cook jollof rice. There's like 1 million recipes, different ways to cook it. So all those things I found, I was talking to someone, I said, those things are no longer that important. Those were the things that were instilled in us. Oh, this is what is going to make you a good wife. But all the emotional and the, general aspects of you being a good person, being an upstanding citizen, of being a reasonable person who can sit down and have a conversation, who can see things from different points of view and things like that. I said to I was having and I said, I think those are the things that are important today. Yes. We're not so much, you can buy a Zoom, or is it a Roomba or whatever that will sweep the floor. You can, take your clothes out and have a laundry service do them. Those are things that you can give to people. But if you are a terrible individual, you are a, difficult person, then...
so it's really about raising good humans.
It's about raising good human beings. And that's what I tell my children all the time. Like, I don't care about all these other things. Not that I don't care. Of course, I want you to be able to do these things. But for me, at the end of the day, it's important that you are good human beings. That when you are somewhere, that people can remember that you were there. That there was a reason why, that someone could say something about you and say, oh, this person was here and this person made my life maybe better. Or, those are the things that I think are more important. I wouldn't say that the others are not, but it's important that you...
Priority.
Yeah, right? That you need to be a good person. And
everything else is a bonus, but that is a non-negotiable.
Okay, so
I'll add to that.
Okay, go on.
In the sense that I remember when we was much younger, my father would say, open the door for a lady. I didn't understand why. So when our boys were growing up and I took them out with their sister, I would tell them, stand back, open the door for your sister. Initially, it was always, why should we, right? But as they grew older, they began to understand. Then part of what I saw as raising boys was the fact that I wanted them to be strong individuals. You see, there are too many pansies around right now. So, and this was an incident, and I'm very proud that I'm on air, but this happened. But when the kids will come home from school, they've been bullied. You have to say, listen, nobody has a right to bully you. Right? I'm editing some of the things that we did because
we're on air.
I don't want to be accused of being. But I did what they did to us in Nigeria when my people will understand what I'm saying. When they came home and said they were bullied, what would have been done in Nigeria is what I did to them in Canada. The younger one did that. It happened to him. The older one did. After that, we never had any incidents of somebody coming home and they were bullied. Now, that doesn't mean you made them thugs or terrorists or anything like that. No. It only showed that they have to be strong of character and that situations should not be above them. We teach them that there's one song we listen to because we used to have this music thing at home, and it was a song by a group called Cutlass, Kutless, right? That impossible is not a word, but it's just an excuse not to try. That was our mantra when they were growing up, and we stuck to it, right? So now we look back and we smile at some of the things these guys are doing, right? Believe me, we are like, wow.
But that's lovely. I haven't quite got to that position yet. My kids are still a little bit long, but it must be such I'm thinking of you in particular, to see your boys, your men, like excel, almost like they've made, you've done a good job. You can see that, okay, we are still waiting for them to marry and, make us grandparents.
But being married doesn't mean you've done a bad
no,
job.
No, I'm not saying that. I said I'm waiting for my grandchildren. What's wrong with you? I know you don't want to be a grandma, but it's okay.
I don't mind. I don't know. I think that we what's that quote? What you do speaks so loudly, I can't hear what you say. What does that mean?
Yeah.
You teach them by your actions.
Yeah.
So I believe that my boys have learned how to treat a woman because they see their father treat their mother like a lady, like she deserves, and vice versa. So it's provided an environment where, a nurturing environment where I'm not suggesting we're perfect. We're a regular family. We have our own stuff, but by and large, we do what we feel is right, and we teach them what we feel is right for them. In today's world, I don't impose my opinions on my children.
Yeah.
I'm not a mother who says her sons need to learn how to cook. I'm not that mother.
Yeah.
I teach my sons to be a good provider. You go and buy the person that'll cook for you. I'm sorry. That's my view.
No, but I feel that's
my view.
No, but I actually think that's fair enough.
Yeah.
But the issue is that they're still contributing
But
in a
then, of
certain
course,
way.
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Learn how to stand up on your own 2 feet. I like what Riyike said. Be a man, be an upstanding person in the world. That's not to say you've got to be perfect, because there's no such thing. But have the right values, have the right intentions, have a conscience, work hard. To me, those are, for me,
So I don't forget, there's one thing
please.
we taught the boys, especially. You see, as much as I lacked in certain areas, the areas I lacked, we tried to teach our boys that. And that's in the area of giving and special occasions, right? I mean, even though it was last minute, she would testify where myself and the boys were always last minute. But over the years, she's shaking her head. It's gotten better. And that is birthdays,
It got
Christmas.
better because I
Insistent.
You made it get better.
I didn't insist. I actually told them this was on the 24th of December, and they were running helter skelter to find me a gift. And I'm a very, I'm very particular about giving people gifts. I hate to give you a gift that you cannot use, or that is just one of those kind of gifts. Yeah. So they gave me a gift on Christmas Day, and I'd seen them run around on the 24th, around 4 o'clock, when the stores were going to close like 30 minutes. And then they came and they gave me this gift, and I said to them, this gift shows me that you don't even know who I am. Like, you have never thought about me.
And I'm 100% with you on that thing. There's no point. I'd rather not give a gift than give something that is of no.
So I said to them, this just shows me that you never put any thought into
Any
this.
effort.
You don't know me. I said, I would rather you didn't give me a gift than do this. And kudos to them. That was the last year that they
It's
did
got
that.
some better.
So we felt it was really important that we teach the boys the importance of giving, and it was not the amount or the size of the gift. It could be as small as anything else, but that those you love, you learn to give to them. You learn. I don't remember birthdays, very bad, but they've learned to remember birthdays.
Yeah.
So that aspect of giving and being human beings that are, you care, caring boys, strong boys, but care. Yes.
You see, so I actually feel that if you really, I feel that love gives. I just feel that love gives. That if you really love it, you will give. It doesn't mean that you give a present, but love gives. I just feel that it comes
Gives
hand
time,
in hand.
it
It gives.
gives.
So I do think that, and I think that's a really key one to teach actually, because it's not something that I guess maybe because, like you said, because you were lacking in it, so you thought about it more.
Intentional.
You were intentional
Yes.
about it.
yeah. So, okay, then based on that, let me ask you, Ene, was there anything that you were particularly intentional about teaching your boys that?
I think because I'm the only girl in the house, I was intentional about them learning how to treat me, how to treat a woman. I was particular about that because unlike you say about how you taught your boys how to open the door for their sister. Mine didn't have that.
Yeah.
Right? So I was intentional about mom is a girl. And so mom has to be treated like a girl.
Like a girl.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I think that was probably because I'm really big on men treating women like a lady.
Like a princess.
I'm big.
that
I
they
like
are.
a princess.
Yeah, that they are. And
I'm
I
big
think,
on
and I
that.
don't feel like, you see, because sometimes I feel like when we say that, people now think that we're implying that we're not as good as, or we don't have, and I don't think, I feel like we have, we have different roles, we have different things. So the fact that I want to be treated like the queen that I am does not mean that I'm saying that I'm less of anything that, and I think sometimes, but it's funny because when you spoke about opening the door, I was trying to put that into my firstborn son. And one day he came home from school and he said, I'm not doing this again. So I said, why? He said, because I'm trying to open the door for teacher and they're like, I can do it, I can do it.
Yeah.
So in the end, he was like, well, there's no point because they don't want it. And I think that's the problem with society now,
Yes,
is
it
that
is.
the women are rebelling against what we are trying to teach the boys to do.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's, to be honest, I can't tell you hand on heart that he knows to do it, and I think he works out who to do it for,
Yeah.
but it's not his everyday response, which was what I wanted it to be. So sometimes situations go on, Riyike, I can
And
see.
I just think that society is that's another thing that we just we have to kind of, it's almost like we're running against something, like the grain. It's like you want to teach this, but then society is teaching something else.
Yes.
And that for me, I think one of the things that I did with my kids in general, I mean, I still do it with them even up until this time, is that I'm always intentional about having conversations with them. So we always have, even when they were younger, we would see something on TV and then, or maybe there was news, and I would strategically make sure that they listened, they heard that news, and then I would like kind of
Address
say,
it, yeah.
oh, like, what do you think about this? And we would talk about it and kind of flesh what they're thinking. Because for me, it was important for me to know or to understand where, their minds are.
Yeah.
And is it that, so that we can know what we're trying to address,
Yes,
or where
yes.
where their minds are and
Yeah.
what they're thinking. So for me, I've been blessed. We've not had any major issues, but I think a lot of it is because we talk all the time.
And I think that's so important, yeah.
And it's important for me because I remember, and this is maybe a sensitive thing. I'm a social worker. We had this conversation. There was something about, like incest and something. And I remember thinking after that conversation in school, I was thinking that sometimes we assume that people should know something, but we never tell them that this is
Yes.
this. And I got home and I said to them, and I remember saying to them, I said, their sister was very little at the time. I said, you guys are a little older than your sister. And the expectation is that you're going to take care of your sister. You're going to make sure that she's okay. She's not a toy. She's not. We actually had that conversation.
Yeah.
They said, ew. But I wondered, because like I keep saying, sometimes we don't have those conversations.
Yeah.
And then something happens, God forbid. The child that molested another child is your child. The child that was molested is your child.
Yes.
How do you
How
deal
do you
with
deal
that?
with it? Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes,
And I think it's such a
yes.
key thing because,
Yes.
such a fantastic
Yes.
example. My example of that, what I always say is that I would get annoyed with my son for not, in our culture, you're supposed to dog manner. And I will get annoyed with him. Meanwhile, I never told him to do it. Do you know what I mean? So you now
So
kind of,
how do you know to
how
do
is he
it
supposed
if
to
you
know
don't
to
tell
do it?
him?
When meanwhile, I'm now embarrassed that he didn't do the right thing, but I didn't even tell him that's what he's supposed to do. And I think you're so right. I mean, you're using sensitive things, but you're absolutely right. If you're not having the conversations, how can you then address things? How do you know what's on their mind? And I can see you are bursting to go. What's
No,
your-
I'm listening.
how just interrupt if you want to.
No,
jump in.
yeah.
So how can you know what to, what's going on? I mean, one of the things that I have been intentional about, I don't know how successful I've been, but I've been intentional and I continue to be intentional, is that I don't care how bad it is.
Yeah.
I will always love you. Come to me. Tell me what
tell
it
me.
is.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. And of course, my daughter, one of my kids, will say, yeah, but you'll tell the police then, won't you? Yes, I will, but that doesn't mean I don't love you. You know what I mean? It's like that thing of just like keeping I've always said that thing I think culturally, sometimes we close that gate too
Door,
quickly
yeah.
and then it doesn't help. You know, we
So
need
I
to
was
keep it
told by
open.
my mom, I know we have a little short time, I was told by my mom from when I was very young. My mom was not Nigerian, and I think this may have had something to. My mom always said, I don't care what you do, I want to be the first one to know about it,
Yeah.
because it's me that can help you.
Yeah.
Your friends don't know Jack.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Very correct.
Yeah.
And I've said that to my boys as well.
Yeah.
Come to us.
Yeah.
We can help you.
Yeah, that's what I always say as well. So I think
Yeah,
it's
I even with my kids, I would go further and say, and I would ask them. I said, "What would I do if you tell me?" They would say, sometimes you would scream. And I said, "So when I scream, then what happens? then you help." Then I said, "Yes, I'm a Nigerian. It is my."
I will scream.
I'm going to scream.
I have to scream
I'm going
first.
to scream.
But you know that I love you.
Is that 40 seconds? Oh,
Yes.
we're out of time. Can you believe it? We haven't even started. Oh my gosh. Okay, so are you raising men? What do you think? Do you think you raise your men differently from the way you raise your girls? I say men because they're older, but you're women. What do you have to contribute to this conversation? Let us know. Are you following us on YouTube? If you aren't, why? You really need to get on YouTube and follow us. It's Shea Zasaa, easily found. Just search, follow, subscribe, and then click the notification button so that you can know every time we post something. But until then, why don't you rock your own gorgeous and let us know what you think. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you, guys. It was lovely to have you. And hopefully you'll be back. Not you.
Some of us will.